best of the best Americans who put their lives on the line to help other people. We don't leave a man behind. That's not what America does. We didn't leave Bo Bergdahl behind. We certainly don't leave these missionaries behind who put their lives on the line.
Well, and you know, go ahead.
Have you read Hamas's charter? They call for Jewish genocide. This is in the charter. They say Jews only have negative traits. This is the charter that founded the organization Israel is fighting. Israel is right. Americans, 71% who follow this closely support Israel. And Netanyahu's right. It's time for the Obama administration to back out because they're not doing their job.
What were you talking about in terms of the propaganda? You said so many people are believing, just taking a look at the pictures of the children dying.
Jenny, that's exactly right. The media is putting out pictures of Hamas children dying. It's a tragedy, of course, anytime a child dies. But what they're not telling you is Senator Lindsey Graham has footage of Palestinian organizations telling Palestinians to go to these places and be martyrs. Be martyrs. When Israel is sending out leaflets saying, get out, we're going to bomb, Hamas is saying, go there, die for this cause, and it's wrong.
That's what I think.
And Hamas are terrorists, and this is the first administration that hasn't stood strongly with Israel, uncategorically with Israel.
Well,
Hamas is a terrorist organization.
So do you think it's not right to question when you see something, or is it annoying that he's saying, hey, listen, there are little kids getting killed here. Maybe y'all want to be a little more strategic in how you do stuff. Do you think that's what it is, or can you allow us to say to Israel, hey, there is a line that you can cross with us, and this is very close to it. I think that's allowed.
You can question. You absolutely can question. I have no problem with that. However, my problem is when our Secretary of State, John Kerry, goes over to negotiate a ceasefire, it doesn't include Israel. He includes Qatar and a nation unfriendly to Israel. That's who he includes in the ceasefire, not Israel.
Well, but
Israel needs to be negotiating the ceasefire.
Perhaps it's because the people who need to really initiate this ceasefire is not Israel. Maybe it is these people, and we have to figure out how to talk to them, because they're not going anywhere. They're going to be there, so we're going to have to learn how to deal with them
but there have been
this way.
There have been 6 ceasefires. Hamas has broken all 6.
No, they have no. Israel's broken too. No, come on.
You know what? If we exchange one of you good teachers in the audience for one bad teacher, a Harvard economist said it would raise the classroom salaries by $250,000. Harvard economist study. So I'm for putting some of you guys in, taking out some of the bad teachers, and whoopee, you're sounding a little conservative back in the green room on this one. I like that.
Well, you know what? People who want a gun can get a gun. Anybody can get a gun.
They already have them.
Well, you know.
It's too expensive.
Well, for who, though?
For the people who want to defend their families. People who are afraid of intruders want something to protect themselves.
They can't afford? Well,
so if you
have 16 guns, how did you pay for them?
If you only allow smart guns to be bought in the state of New Jersey, a young mother, single mother who can't afford a gun.
Oh, my God, in the state of New Jersey, there should only be smart guns.
I want a
Chicago and everywhere else, because apparently the NRA can't see any way to work with people who are saying, hey, there might be a better way to protect people. I understand adults and stuff. Here's my concern. Little kids, they get a hold of a gun that can kill somebody. By accident, they don't mean to, but they can pull a trigger. I don't want a trigger that will move. I own guns, just so you're clear.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I want gun safety as much as you do, but we have to repeal this New Jersey law, because I want single mothers to be able to defend themselves against an intruder. If the gun goes up by $10,000, $20,000, she can't have one.
Mothers.
He didn't want a terrorist attack on his watch, so he called it workplace violence. Everyone knows this was terrorism. Everyone, because the facts are, welfare spending has grown 16-fold since the 1960s. Julie, where are the success stories? Am I hearing Donnie advocate a right-wing policy over there?
No, it really is. I've been morphing in this show.
You have been. I like it.
Pull into the right.
That is not an independent woman. That, by definition, is a dependent woman. And the war on women is being waged by the Democratic Party. It's a covert war to paint women as victims in need of government assistance. I will not be a victim.
Because he's giving his life for his country.
Yes.
Donnie, will you work with me, bring the two sides together? Let's have a protest in front of the White House to get this done. Can we do that?
We'll go this weekend, okay?
Bipartisan protest. Me and Donnie.
Hands across the aisle.
But what the Obama administration isn't telling you is that in 2016, that penalty goes up to $695 or 2.5% of your income. And the IRS is going to be the aggressive watchdog after the American people. Yeah. In the interest of bipartisanship, how will Chris Christie or Michael Moore fit too? So anyway, that aside, it's our favorite time of the day, bonus points. Who on the panel made the best point? I give Donnie kudos for reaching across the aisle and saying that these victims of Fort Hood deserve Purple Hearts, because they absolutely do. And good for you for recognizing that. And I look forward to our protest in front of the White House.
There you go.
I pat him on the back. We're pulling him the right word.
Bonus point.
To have a deputy chief of staff that would think that this is okay speaks very poorly of Chris Christie, and to think that he wouldn't know this is going on in his own administration speaks equally as poorly.
But this has been ignored because the focus has been on guns.
By the way,
Important, but don't bet against the old guy. I'm a huge Indianapolis Colts fan. I love Peyton Manning, and that should be an instructive story. Don't bet against the old guy. Give him a shot.
But are you saying they should have kept Manning?
Oh, yeah, I think they should have.
I don't know. Denver was half.
Television used to be about family. We all remember The Cosby Show. That was television. But now it's not just anti-family. It's hostile to my values as a conservative Christian. It's hostile. My kids, you know, I imagine 5 years from now when I have kids, they're not going to be able to even watch. And
Wait,
that's
The
sad.
Office is hostile?
Sad state of America.
The Office is Modern Family?
Family. Kids would sell their ADD medicine to others. That's why there's a study, 30% at the University of Kentucky have used illegal stimulants because it makes you focus. You study. For instance, they wanted to pass a bill to fund the NIH to fund child's cancer research, but Democrats would not come to the table.
Which they defunded by shutting the government down.
I'm not sure how you can say that they're not trying to make this hurt. Well, no. You can't use that excuse because Tip O'Neill shut down the government 12 times. Government shutdowns have always been used to negotiate and push points and come to the table. Donnie, there's an exception to that statistic, and it's the United States of America, the greatest country on earth, where 73% of citizens profess Christianity as their belief. This is a country founded on Judeo-Christian values, and the majority adhere to those values. There's a minority like the professor last week who had his students write Jesus on a piece of paper, rip it up, step on it, stomp on it, and expelled the kid who did not participate in this exercise. There's a minority who wants to take under God out of the Pledge of Allegiance, but they're the minority. The majority showed up to watch the Bible.
Yeah, by the way,
And I personally have a soft spot in my heart for Michael Jackson, like Margaret acknowledged, who doesn't? And by doing this and dredging up this history, it's just going to...
I'll say it's worse than that. I say it sickens me.
Yeah.
It sickens me.
With hundreds of millions of dollars and government resources at his fingertips, Obama, the CEO of all this, could not even do what Mark Zuckerberg did in the dorm room at Harvard when he created Facebook, with no money and no resources. You know, if the president were being honest tonight, he would say what Gerald Ford said in 1975, the State of the Union is bad, and he would lay out his plan to fix Obamacare.
This is a month?
I look a month, and I look state by state, and it's virtually, if you take right now what you're paying and multiply it times 3, that's essentially what you would be expected to pay in an exchange. Tamara, just because you're allowed to do something, that doesn't make it right. I'm going to mimic Donnie and do one of these, and you're so spot on, because, you know, it's not the degree. It's what you do alongside the degree. You know, I majored in international politics. I'm sure it's somewhere on this list as people who are unemployed, but I had a passion, and I interned in the White House and interned on Capitol Hill. And that's what it's about, what you do alongside your degree, because interning's the key. That's the key to employment. Parents, median household income in 1990 was $27,000 for a millennial household. It's $6,000 now. This is Obama's America, where we're seeing mass unemployment. We're seeing healthcare premiums for a millennial are 3 times what they were last year. Millennials are suffering. They're hurting. They are the poor. They are the income inequality. It's the millennial generation. And quite frankly, they're not buying the president's message anymore. They're just not. He's full of broken promises. And we're going to hear more of those broken promises. The fundamental problem is Democrats are framing the debate, and voters do not think Republicans are in touch with them. A lot of this is so new. iPads are so new. It takes years to do a study with children to see how it truly affects them. I mean, is this something we're going to find out 5 years from now?
Yeah, they're actually...
And the Republicans are so far behind. In 2012, they spent just 3% on social media and new media, and Obama outspent Romney by 10 to 1.
Kaylee, every Christian kid you're worried about, they have seen porn on the internet and can see it any time
Does it
of
make
day.
it right? Is the status quo an excuse to not make change? Because that's essentially what you're saying.
You're
that
right.
the status quo is an excuse to not make a more idealistic, better world that we want to work towards.
You want to go more...
I want to get back to the Cosby days.
Well,
and I think Jason does too, and Margaret does too. Let's get back to the Cosby days and out of the status quo.
It's not going to happen.
The status quo is not right.
Why do you want to get back?
But you see, it's not happening because we have people like you saying it's not going to happen.
You're the reason.
It's Donnie. It's all Donnie.
No. What I'm saying is the interesting thing is that
The Harvard study said that if the president was on the ballot today, 54% of millennials would vote to recall the president. That's startling. This is a group that came out for him in droves, but 54% would vote to recall him. That's astonishing. Here's a counterpoint to what you're saying. After 9/11, the people who died in the Pentagon got a Purple Heart, and that did not have any effect on Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's trial. So I think that's
not necessarily a great argument for this, for denying our heroes what they deserve, these Purple Hearts. And, to another point, Donnie, your liberal president is the one who started this all by refusing.
I didn't know I was responsible for putting him in office.
Yes, you are.
He didn't want a terrorist attack on his watch, so he called it workplace violence. Everyone knows this was terrorism. Everyone.
He called it because he's trying to get this guy convicted. What do you want, Kaylee? Do you want him convicted, or do you want these people to get their Purple Hearts 2 years early?
But is KSM not going to get convicted because we gave Purple Hearts to those in the Pentagon?
No, I'm talking about this trial.
But this is the same situation.
Why?
Obama blew it for a different reason than I think you think Obama blew it. He blew it by focusing on guns rather than the real issue that could have stopped some of these shootings, which is mental health. You look at Jared Loughner, and I have right here timeline of his mental health, and it's frightening, some of the things you read. Psychologist said she saw signs of schizophrenia. A classmate.
It's not either or, though.
There's always going to be nutbags.
But we have a classmate of his wrote, "You will see this guy on the news with an automatic weapon," and then he shoots 19 people and 6 die. But this has been ignored because the focus has been on guns.
By the way, no, but
it's been politicized.
It's not. It's all.
I have the fact that James Holmes said, "I am the Joker" from Dark Knight Rising.
That's
he thought he was the
crazy.
Joker.
That doesn't mean that it's a contributing factor to people's violent behavior.
He dyed his hair orange to be the Joker.
Because he was crazy.
And authorities came out and said, point blank, Adam Lanza was motivated by video games. He was motivated. He was acting out a real-life fantasy. Feminists of the third wave want women to believe you cannot be female if you only want to be a stay-at-home mom. And I just think that's incorrect. We have to get to the lowest common denominator here, which is the teachers' unions that protect some of these guys who get to these high ranks among teachers that don't deserve it. We're not rewarding the teachers who are good at their job.
That's why you need the grading
because
system.
The union is protecting the teachers who are doing a horrific job. So that to me is the root of the problem. You're so right, and it helps NBC. But now it's time for NBC to help themselves and remain loyal to Leno. Leno had a 7-week high in viewership. He's beating Letterman. He's beating Kimmel. He will succeed. He will come out on top in this. And I think it's time for them to show a little loyalty, give them the benefit of the doubt.
Which Kaylee's saying they're 68% right now.
Yeah, 67%. And, she's the most popular presidential candidate since George Washington. I mean, this woman seems to have it in the bag. But, Donnie, I want to challenge you and say, this is the curse of heightened expectations. She can only go down from here. Everyone's talking about President Hillary Clinton as if it's a foregone conclusion, but it's not. And if she falters just a bit, she goes down tremendously. So I think it's far from a foregone conclusion.
By the way,
President
2016.
I've seen it firsthand being in college. I've seen kids laugh and say, I went to the doctor and convinced him I'm ADHD. These are Georgetown students, smart kids who got here. Some kids need it.
Because they want the pills?
Because they want the pills. People, there's a big market for this. I mean, this guy was denied a childhood, and you could see that evidently in his adulthood. And I'm not convinced he did it, and let's, give him the benefit of the doubt.
Both the women at the panel get my award for shaming the men and showing us that the stronger sex does not cheat.